Hi, I'm Connie,
And I'm Noelle.
and we are product managers on the Data Factory team. We're super excited to be back for our third episode for our podcast series, The Data Integration Station. Whether you're a seasoned Data Factory enthusiast or maybe you're a newcomer to Microsoft Fabric, eager to explore fresh content, we promise to teach you something new every month.
This month, we're super excited to talk a little bit more about mirroring and fabric. We're actually super excited that we have one of our teammates joining us today, Maraki, and another friend of ours, Mark, who will be talking about all things mirroring. So let's go ahead and get started.
Welcome our special guest, Maraki. She's a PM from our very own Data Factory team, and she's here today to talk to us about mirroring. Would love to hear a little bit about your background, Maraki, and how you got here today.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Been looking forward to this conversation. I'm Maraki, Principal PM on the Data Factory team. I have the distinct honor of working with both of you. Focus most of my time on mirroring related features, dabble a little bit in copy job related stuff as well. I've been at Microsoft less than a year, joined from various parts of the industry, but I've been in the data space most of my career. So yeah, super excited to chat with you guys and see how we can help.
Very cool. Um, so I guess today we'll be focusing a little bit more on mirroring. So for people who don't know what mirroring is, could you give us a little bit of an overview and kind of some of the new things that we've been adding into Fabric that might be cool for them to pay attention to?
Yes. So I usually like to start with a question, right?
Mhm.
And maybe I would love to get your take on it, but what do you guys feel is, the most difficult part of getting started with any data platform?
Well, I feel like, at least for me, one, understanding the platform and how to get data in or how to configure any existing data that I have and like trying to access it.
Exactly. It is precisely that for a lot of our customers. Because oftentimes the data landscape that they're dealing with is this. They have data all over the place, spread across multiple applications, multiple data formats. Different parts of their company use different types of data. Some use CRM, others use, relational databases. And so kind of making sense of it and trying to derive the right insights from all of that data in one place is often really difficult. So yes, that is the most common answer that we get. And that's part of the reason why mirroring really matters. But really to understand mirroring, you have to really talk about OneLake. And I don't know if you guys have spent some time chatting about OneLake, but OneLake is essentially like the OneDrive for data. Just like you can get all of your PowerPoint and Word documents and Excel documents and things into OneDrive, you can also get all of your data into OneLake. I've worked for various parts of the data industry, and OneLake is really special because it provides a data lake as a service without requiring customers to actually configure it and build it out and manage it, right? Like making sure it scales at the right pace, making sure that there's monitoring and things like that that have been created. So to that point, what mirroring does is it creates a one-to-one replica. So imagine this is the source system, and imagine this is OneLake right here. And what we do is we create an exact replica of the data, essentially a mirror. And as the data changes, whether it's changes to the row by row level information or the schema itself, we keep the replica in OneLake also up to date in
Yeah.
near real time. And this is really powerful for real-time analytics, right? So if you are a large retailer, for example, and you have data that's changing all the time as multiple transactions are happening per day, right? Imagine you're the grocery store, for example. You need to have those updates in near real time to understand where's my inventory running out, and which parts of the inventory do I need to restock. And so mirroring for some of those more proprietary sources where data is stored in proprietary formats within Snowflake, within Azure SQL DB, et cetera,
Mhm.
mirroring makes it super simple to get that data into OneLake for use in Fabric, irrespective of what your use case is, analytics, AI, data science. It makes it super simple to use that data, and it's kept up to date in near real time without much intervention from the user.
Very cool.
Yeah, so here are some of the sources that we support today in mirroring. We have Snowflake and Azure SQL DB that are in GA, and we have support for a bunch of other sources as well. This is kind of the, experiences within Fabric that allow you to pull data in near real time from all of these sources as long as CDC is enabled. And, this is a really rich capability.
A lot of sources that people can pick from. That's awesome to see. And it looks like coming soon are some other big ones, so that'll be interesting to see once they're ready.
Yeah, we're super excited about all of these. I guess I'll pause here. What questions do you guys have?
Do we have like a estimated time frame for when our customers can expect things like Oracle, Google BigQuery, and Dataverse coming in?
Yeah, so a lot of these are in private preview today, so customers can sign up for those. But we don't have estimates that we can share publicly at this point in time for public previews or GAs for the ones that are listed and coming soon.
That's really cool. So I guess like the point of this is being able to like reflect your data in one lake, and it should be pretty simple. So is there any way that you can kind of show us like how that might be done like very quickly?
Yeah, so here's an example using data that's in on-premise SQL Server that we can kind of quickly walk through. But essentially, right, you've created an on-premise data gateway that you've already signed into. And here's the data in SQL Server on-prem. And as the demo goes, you eventually jump into Fabric. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. And you can configure your gateway here as well. And then once you've done that, you can go ahead and create a brand new MirrorDB for SQL Server on-prem. So there's already an existing connection that we're going to leverage here. And you can go ahead and start selecting tables and name the actual mirrored source, and data starts to flow in. So you saw like roughly 100,000 rows, I think. And then you can actually start to see the tables in the SQL endpoint. So now imagine something changes in the data. There's some deletes, some updates of values. Once those changes are committed, you can actually see those changes reflected in one lake in near real time. So if we just kind of do a specialized query here and actually run it, you can actually see those updates that we just made in the SQL Server on-prem reflected in one lake in near real time. So that's kind of the power of mirroring, is that as your data changes, those changes that are automatically reflected in one lake as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Now, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just had a quick question. So I know that there's a bunch of different type of mirroring options inside of Fabric. What are the use cases where open mirroring is preferred over our other mirroring options?
Yeah, so these are the ones that we offer today in product, with the 3 below coming soon. And our customers often say like, hey, this is really great. Like, love it. Thanks for doing that. And also, I have data that's in SQL Server 2008. I have data that's not supported. I have data that's in a mainframe. I have data that's in, Google Analytics. I have data that's in SharePoint. I have data that I have data that's in like bespoke solutions that my company bought at some point, and my data is now stuck. Like, what do I do, right? Because, right, like just as we started, this is what what any organization's data landscape looks like, right? Like their platform is all of these different solutions and tools stitched together to come up with a data platform that they can leverage for all of their analysis and AI use cases. And so open mirroring essentially extends the capabilities that we've built for for mirroring, and makes it so that customers and partners can build out their own open mirroring solution. So if there's a source that a customer wants to see supported, and they have not seen us add that particular source in Fabric, they're actually able to use our APIs to build out their own open mirroring source. So we've had lots of really amazing success from customers who've been able to do this. And what it does is, right, it's super simple. As long as the source data can be converted into a CSV or Parquet format, the customer uses the APIs to land that into a OneLake landing zone. And from there, we take it, convert it to Delta, load it into OneLake. And as they're uploading change data files, right, data that's been updated, deleted, inserted, upserted, we're able to keep the reflection of that data or that mirror data in OneLake up to date as well. And so it essentially empowers customers, empowers partners to build out their own custom mirroring solutions.
Oh, that's super cool. So can I mirror data from multiple sources into a single destination with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's an API, so I think you should be able to. What I've seen customers do is mirror from multiple instances of the same source into a mirror destination, but like we don't have a way of like stopping you from mirroring from multiple destinations or from multiple sources if you want to, right? As long as the naming standards are respected and the change data files and there's a primary key and all of that. So open mirroring is meant to be super flexible. And you can kind of extend it however you want to. Obviously, there's going to be a couple of limitations and things that customers are going to run into, but it's really meant to offer customers everything that they need to build a custom solution that meets their needs.
Very cool. And so when you say they have to upload like the changed files, like
Yeah.
does that have to be like a manual step that they do every single time, or is there some way to automate that?
Yeah. So if you're using the UI, it's a manual step.
Okay.
If it's an API, what it can do is pick up any change data on a regular basis, right? You can say, hey, I want you to run this thing every 15 minutes. I want you to run it every hour. And it can pick up any change data on that particular basis. So it's really dependent on how often you're running the application. Yeah, but I can also show you guys an example of like how it reflects change data, if that would be useful, both from the UI and using the APIs.
Yeah, that'd be super cool to see.
Okay, so let's just do the UI example because it's super simple. But here I create a mirror database. And once the mirror database is created, I can either upload files or drag and drop, either Parquet or CSV files. So I'm going to go ahead and actually drag and drop my CSV files. And so once I do that, I give it a name and I go ahead and specify the primary key column. I can see a sample of the data. You can see I have IDs 1 and 2, a name and age column as well. And once I do that, you can see that the data has been replicated. We now see 2 rows. And you can see both the uploaded files that we were reflecting from the OneLake landing zone into OneLake. And you can also see the tables that have landed in OneLake. So you can see that that table that we started with landed in OneLake. So now imagine I have an update that I want to make. And that update is captured in a new file. And we're going to do update existing file. And I'm just going to pause here. So the table name is the same, the ID is the same, but you'll see here that we've added a brand new field called row marker. And that row marker is 4, which means that it's insert. 1 minute, give me a sec. Sorry, guys. That was my dog. She wanted to participate. But so what you can see here, right, is that the table name and the primary key remain the same, but we've added a brand new field called row marker that indicates that we're going to be inserting new rows. And you can see here that we have 2 new rows with the ID 3 and 4. So once we hit update, what it's going to do is, as you would expect, update the existing file in OneLake and replicate and add those 2 new rows. So once we actually refresh, you can see that rows 3 and 4 were just added into the table in OneLake.
Very
Questions? Cool. Yeah.
Is there a limit to the number of tables or I guess like data volume I can mirror?
So we have a limit today, and it's a limit, but if customers don't like this limit, come and talk to me. There's a limit of 500 distinct files or tables per MirrorDB, and that's the same limit across the board. But you're not limited on the number of like change files, because this naming standard you can see here at the bottom of this Excel. Wait, where did it go? This 00000 ending with a 2.
Mm-hmm.
You increment that each time. So like the first file was 0001. The second one is 00002, right? The next change data file would be 00003. And like that leaves you with a lot of opportunity to capture changes for years to come, right? So yeah, like we limit the number of tables, like distinct tables in the MirrorDB to 500 today. But if customers don't like that, come talk to me.
Cool. Very cool. I guess the last question that at least I have is that, like, I'm sure that now that a lot of these mirroring items are out, open mirroring, and a couple of them are GA, and there are a bunch in public preview and private preview, um, I'm sure that you answer a lot of questions from customers all the time. Are there any common questions that tend to come up that you feel like would be helpful to share to other viewers in case they're kind of going through the same issues, or um, just anything that you feel might be a helpful tip for anyone that's trying to get into mirroring?
Yeah, so there's a couple of questions that are super common. The first is, hey, like if my source is not supported, what do I do? The first answer to that is you can go build your own open mirroring source, or you can leverage one of our many partners. And here are all of the different partners that are supporting open mirroring within their products.
Very cool.
The second question that we get most often is, okay, like what does this thing cost me?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to cost me CUs? Like what happens, right? And the beauty of any mirror data is that the actual compute required to replicate the data is free. And the storage in OneLake is free up to a certain limit. So if a customer is on an F64, they get 64 terabytes of free storage. And that so it's a 1 terabyte per CU limit that we have. So using mirroring is free. So if you're on a 60-day free trial of Fabric, getting started with mirroring should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The other question that we get asked, right, is, hey, like my use case is, centered around Power BI, and I want to make sure that my data is optimized for use with Power BI. And the thing to kind of realize is that OneLake is built upon, an open storage format, right, Delta.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of open mirroring and mirroring as a whole is that we actually do the conversion of the data into Delta, regardless of source, so customers don't have to worry about it. And so your data, once it's been mirrored into OneLake, it's optimized for any use case within Fabric, whether it's AI, BI, data science, you name it. And we kind of take the burden of converting data into Delta Parquet and meeting the standards of compression and vOrder and whatever else is required to make the data optimized for OneLake use cases. Super simple.
Super cool. That's super helpful.
Yeah. Other questions?
I think I've asked all mine. Connie, you have any left?
Yeah, no, I think that was a great question to end off on, but I guess I'll have one last catch-all question. Any other remaining tips or tricks that you figured out when working with mirroring that you want to share to customers?
Yeah, so one of the easiest ways to get started is using an SDK that we actually released for open mirroring in particular. It's the Python SDK with a sample starter as well that customers can use. So if you're kind of having a little bit of like, well, I don't want to actually go out and develop this, I want some examples that I can use. There's a Python SDK that's available. And I also know that you guys have talked to Mark, and he has lots of other really cool examples that you can leverage to get started, for open mirroring in particular. Aside from that, with mirroring, it's connect, like set it and forget it type of experience, in the sense that the ones you create, you don't have to maintain ETL jobs or schedules or pipelines and things like that to kind of get it running. You just create it, specify the tables that you want to see mirrored, and we keep it going on our end without any need for user intervention, unless the user wants to intervene. So it's super cool in that sense. But yeah, lots of really cool capabilities that customers should definitely try. If what they're looking for is like a turnkey solution that helps them get data into one lake, and they don't need to do any other transformations on top of the data. And if they do, they have lots of other options available to them, between the stuff that you guys work on and Dataflow Gen 2, and all of the awesome capabilities that we have within Data Factory.
Yeah, totally true. Well, thank you so much for walking us through all this and sharing so much helpful information. This was super great, and we're really excited for everyone to go ahead and give mirroring a try if they haven't already, or to have learned something new about mirroring if you have tried mirroring already. For any resources, we'll definitely make sure to include it in the description of the video so that you have it. But thank you so much for joining us today. We are so glad to have had you, and hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Awesome. Thanks, team.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Bye, y'all.
Okay. Bye. Thanks for showing us more about what we can do with mirroring. Now we have a special guest, Mark, who is going to show us something new he has discovered for monitoring his mirrored databases.
So today we are excited to have Mark join us and talk to us a little bit more about mirroring. So Mark, thank you so much for joining. Will you give us a little bit more of your background and talk about what you are going to show us today?
Okay, so my name's Mark. I work in the Fabric Cat team, and I used to be on, well, I used to do lots of other things, but most recently I was a PM. Then I moved into the cat team on the DW side, and now very recently I've moved over to be a cat on the DI side, or data integration side, and mostly focusing on mirroring. And today I'm going to show you something new, something hopefully exciting that will get everyone, I didn't know you could do that. And it's how, as something people have been asking for forever, is how do I monitor mirroring? So I'm going to show you how, and hopefully, demo gods are with us. It will work.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Sounds exciting.
Would you want me to jump straight in?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
jump
cool.
in.
Yeah,
Let's
go
get
for
ready.
it.
Right.
Take it
So
away.
I didn't know whether we want to do a preamble on mirroring, but no, right. So I'm going to assume that, well, let's share my screen so you can see what I'm going to do. Let's share. I'm going to share this screen. Go.
If people
All
are
right.
unfamiliar with mirroring, not to worry. We'll drop a couple links and a short description in the chat area or the video description area. You can kind of go and look at it on your own, and maybe we can do some links to some intro videos on mirroring. So yes, okay,
So
Mark, go ahead.
I've got some mirroring videos on my channel, but I won't promote that while I'm on yours. That's not really fair.
No, you can totally promote it. Promote away.
Okay, cool.
Follow Mark
All right,
after
so
this.
I've set up a workspace, Fabric workspace, and I've got some mirroring set up, and it is just some Snowflake mirroring. So I'm just mirroring some data from Snowflake. It's not particularly amazing. It's just the TPCH, but really what I want to show is how do we observe and see what's going on behind the scenes, because this has been the main screen that people have been looking at. They'll see this and they'll see running, and it's great, and then they'll see this number, and this number is how many rows it's kind of mirrored, but it isn't the amount of rows in a table, so it's not really clear what this is. So how do we do this? And it's actually really simple. It came out a couple of months ago, and we'll put the link to the documentation. It's actually workspace monitoring. So if I click on the workspace, and up here in workspace settings, you'll see monitoring. Now you will get an add button here, and I've just to save time, I've already clicked on it. And what it does, it creates an event house and a streaming object. So it creates this monitoring event house. It will be the same name because these are all exactly the same. A KQL database. So if you don't know Custo is amazing. Sorry, KQL, but we call it Custo. And here is the event stream. So let's go and dive in. So I've already got mirroring set up. Some things are happening. So let's go and see what's happening. Right. So I just click on it and I can see all things, stuff is going on. What's going on? So I'll click here. And then I see a number of tables. And the one that we are interested in is this one. But I don't know what these do. I mean, they probably do something really important, and someone will tell me off for not knowing, but I don't know. The only one I care about is mirroring, because that's the important one. So I click just there, and then I can do query code, and we go. It pops this little thing out the side, and it seems a bit funky, but let's go and run this. So the language is very similar to SQL, but it's saying this is a table and just give me the top 10 rows. And I can see, oh, look, add table. And I see it, oh, it's doing something and replicating schema. And then I can see it starting snapshotting. And I can see some things happening. And I can see it replicating. And if we just scroll across, now this isn't very useful to see it in here, but I can see the table names and I can see things happening. But let's go and jump to some queries I pre-prepared, because this probably isn't that easy to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here. In fact, what I'm going to do is do this save as KQL query set. Don't worry, it's not going to do anything dangerous. So we'll just call this query set.
So this will just save your progress on what you are querying, right?
Yeah, so I don't lose it. And it just gives me the entire screen as rather than being stuck on the side, which is feels a bit icky. I'm just going to take all that out. I'm going to paste something in. So the way the language works is this is like a select statement. I'm only getting a certain number of columns. So I can see, oh, so here's the add table. So we can see that it went to do some add. And then we can see it's replicating the schema. So it's bringing some things happening. And then it's going to start the snapshot, which is the bit where it gets the initial version of the table. And then I can see, oh, some rows have come across, and I can see 5, and I can see, oh, and I can even see the data size, how much data it's moving. So I can see each table. There's 2 events, snapshotting, and then when it's finished snapshotting, it starts replicating. And then so later on, I did some playing. I just added some more rows. And then for line item, I was just doubling the amount of data every time. But you can see it's just getting bigger and bigger. And then, but what if so this isn't the exciting bit. This is pretty boring. But I can do things like, well, add in a where clause and say, well, just what happened on a particular table. So we can just see that particular table.
Oh, cool.
Which is quite nice. And then that one gives me all the logs. But what if, so there's more data. This is operation start and end time. So if I'm just going to do it for the same table again, I can see, well, these were really quick. And then when I started moving data across, it was actually the processing time. And once it started to move it, you actually see that took almost 44 minutes. So once we brought that data across, so we've had to bring all those rows across, and it's about 4 or 5 gig. Actually, it's quite a large data set, and then it's got to compress it and write it into the Delta table. So very big amounts of data can take some time, and you can actually see what's happening. So it gives you an amazing observability. But that's great when it's working. But what happens when it doesn't work? Now, this is my perfect example. So I had to go and break a mirror. So I have to apologize to all the devs in the background for breaking their product. But I went through and I made some awful things happen. I deleted things. So I'm just going to go into my works home, and I created this workspace called, So I've got, and this happens to be a an open mirror database, but it just gives me the ability to control it and break it in a really nasty way.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've done some horrible things. So something's gone wrong. So actually, let's go to before I go there. So let's go to there. Let's go to my mirror database, and we can see. Oh, look. I'm just going to make it a bit smaller. There we go.
Running with warnings.
Yeah, it's not happy. And so, but what I can do is, so I can put my mouse over, and I can see. Oh, look, there's actually quite a nice error message. So it's telling me that my Parquet file is 0 bytes. Effectively, my Parquet file is corrupt. So this is actually quite useful. So this one's not so useful because it just says internal error. So we've got to investigate that. And this one is another one with a path not found. So there's something missing. Okay. So the actual errors are really useful. But the problem is I have to go and check the mirror. So someone's probably told me there's a problem. And so a user has come to me and they've complained that their data is wrong or out of date or something's gone wrong, and that's not a good situation to be in. So what if we could use the observability we now have, the workspace monitoring, and alert me when something goes wrong? So let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to jump into I'm going to jump into my KQL database. And I'm going to go and look at, so it's the same table. I do exactly the same thing. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'll just call this errors 1, because I might have created one called errors earlier. Cool. Okay. So here we are. And I can see some things have happened.
Fail table.
Yeah, lots of fails. That's not good. And we can see there's an error type, and there's an error message. And if we do that, we can see the error message. And that's a 0 bytes one. So this is telling us something went wrong. Now, what if I do this, something like this, and I say, just give me the errors. So all right, I'm cheating because I'm just saying where the error type is not blank. And so this gives me just the errors. So everything here is a fail table. And I've got quite a few of them. Okay, so now, what if we do something like this? Because this is really hard to read. What if I just show me the table name and the error message? So now I can see the friend table, this error, and so. Okay, so there's lots and lots of errors, but I can now see the error message and I can see which table. But if we want to do some alerting, I can't just dump this out. And alerting is normally based upon a time. So what if I did something like this and I said, well, give me all the errors that happened essentially in the last 5 minutes. And then I can see it. And then I've got, I might smaller set, but I've still got a few. That's still a bit annoying. So what if I just group by the error message now? And I say, well, give me all the errors that happened in the last 5 minutes, but group by the table name and the error message. And actually count them. Okay, so I've just got 3 tables that have errored, and they've errored multiple times, but I only care that they've actually errored. So that's great. But how do I now get that information sent to me? Now, I'm sure there are many ways, but I'm going to show you one way of doing it. And one way of actually making this KQL query sort of nicer and easier to use is I'm going to create a Power BI report. Now, I am not a Power BI developer and I can't create reports. So I'm just going to go, right, show me the error count. But let me just, it doesn't look great on this size. So I can see the types of errors, but so let me just save that. and we'll call this the errors. And I've got to put it in the right workspace, otherwise it won't work. And I need to put it in my, what was my workspace called? No, it was called
Two.
Yeah.
Plum2. Yeah. Okay. You good. Okay. I should have clicked on OK there. Sorry. I clicked on the wrong button. That's fine. We'll go and find it here. So what did I call it? The Power BI report was called
The
errors?
the errors. It didn't refresh. Let me just hit F5. Because you can open up the Power BI report from that screen.
All the way at the bottom. Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go. So open it up. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because you can't do the next step from that screen.
Okay.
I can right click and add an alert.
Ah.
And I can say, so, yeah, okay. Don't worry about it. So when we can see when the becomes more greater than 0. So when we get more than 0 errors, now because this is on my demo tenant, I don't have Teams, so I've got to use an email. So it's going to send me an email, and so I can apply that now. Cool. Now I can test it out. Let's go and see. So we've got to open it in Data Activator. So what this is actually doing is Power BI is then using Data Activator to send me an alert. So let's open it up.
That's cool.
Let's just get started. So it puts all this stuff in. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is say this one here, the errors. This is the one that I just created. So I'm going to make that one smaller. So type, that's account, that's the alert. So here we have exactly what we had before, which is the count of errors when it becomes bigger than 0, which we know it will be. And then I got the text for the email. So I'm going to put this is a panic message, get out of bed. All right, okay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, if we had more time, I would actually let this, because this will fire every so often, I'll actually just do send me a test. And actually, I need to save and update it as well. So that's going to save and update the rules. And if we are lucky, and the demos have worked, we should get an email arriving here in a couple of seconds with that panic message. It sometimes takes a second to send it. Right, let's try again. Let's just double check, get out of bed. Exclamation mark. So sometimes it takes a second. I'm super impatient, and maybe it's because I didn't save it first. Okay, so it's going to send it. I'll pop over to my email. There it is. Oh, and they both arrived. So it was me being super impatient. So there's my panic email. Get out of bed. So every time there's now an error in mirroring, it will now send me an email to tell me to fix it. How long did that take? That took probably about 10 minutes or 15 minutes to set up and show you all that. Yeah. But it was pretty quick, and that was a live demo of it working. So it is using just more than mirroring, because it's taking mirroring, it's putting a little bit of Power BI on top, it's using a bit of Data Activator. Oh, and the workspace monitoring. But by putting them all together, you then get this solution that is more than the sum of its parts. That's why I quite like it. And that's all I needed to show.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I did panic at the end when that second email didn't come through.
No, it went super well. I guess I have a question. Now with this workspace monitoring and all this stuff that you're able to do, like what else do you find is the most important or the most helpful for people to take a look at? Because I see that like when you are in that like what is that event house that you had?
Yeah.
That there are so many things that you can do. Like you can look at things visually, or like um, you can like preview
Wow.
things. Like, have you done some more exploring of this and seeing like what other metrics or what other tips and tricks might be like helpful for people to know about?
The honest answer is no. Yeah.
That's fair.
No. It was. I only looked at it because I'd heard that we had the mirroring telemetry start to come through, and because I quite like KSQL, um, and it's really easy to get started and play with it, but the ability to see stuff happening in real time. So
Mhm,
that's where the key value is, because those messages actually in the actual errors in the mirroring. So when I go back to here, these error messages you can actually get access to.
mhm,
So there is these are actually stored in a JSON document on OneLake, so you can get it, but it is just a moment in time,
mhm.
and you can't see the rows appearing. So people, look at it and they go, "Well, I don't know if that data is appearing, and I don't know if it's really working." Sorry, the cat's attacking the window at the moment. That's why you can see the just out of the corner. Um, so, uh, sorry, I got slightly distracted by the cat. So just seeing stuff happening in real time, we couldn't do it before. So that's
Mhm,
where all that workspace monitoring comes in really useful. And then if you and just the ability to see the errors as they happen, because otherwise, it takes a lot more work to get those errors out. You'd have to do some sort of scraping or some sort of constant polling, and this is doing that for you. So it's making it really easy to get at those errors. So the simplicity. If
yeah.
I can make, so the trick is, if I can make it work, then anyone can make it work. So
Yeah. This is actually really exciting, this workspace monitoring thing. We're actually bringing this into all of our other Data Factory features very soon. So I'm actually really glad you brought this demo up. I guess because mirroring was one of the first artifacts in Data Factory to accommodate for workspace monitoring. Do you have any tips or maybe improvement ideas for how monitoring could be even better at the workspace level for mirroring?
um, so this is customer feedback is that, so this is great because this happens on a workspace level, but what and this is general Fabric feedback. What people would like is this to happen at a capacity or a higher level, so they don't, because effectively I have to set up, if I've got two workspaces, I have to set up workspace monitoring twice. And actually what you want is a capacity monitoring, so all that stuff is happening, and I just set up one alert that would pick up every single workspace and every single mirroring database everywhere, so I wouldn't have to do it multiple times. So I think that would be one of the big improvements we could do. But one of the things that is quite useful and quite exciting, that if you don't like, and I never do this, but if you don't like KQL, or you're a bit scared about it, there is a SQL interface. So you can do everything from essentially the T-SQL language. So if you like SQL, right, you can just run it from here. Let's say that's okay. Let's call this mirroring SQL. I can zoom into it a bit more when it's in full screen. Next, got it. There we go. Right. So you can do this. And then if you like SQL and that's your language of choice, you don't have to learn anything new. Where now the only thing that you can see which is slightly different. If I tried to do this way, I can do this and I can do project, and it gives me the columns.
Okay.
So I think that was operation name. but it's not doing that in SQL. So I'm just going to steal
see.
that. Where operation name is like a. So if SQL is your bag, then you don't need to learn another language with KSQL. You can just use SQL, and it just interprets it and then turns it. And behind the scenes, it's turning that into KSQL. And there are utilities that will do that for you. So if you know the SQL, like you wanted a group by or something, then you can get it to convert it into the KSQL for you or KQL for you.
Very cool. And I see that there's Copilot here too, so I'm sure that if you're trying to pick up like a new querying language, I'm sure Copilot can help out there too. And it looks like you can also set alerts like in this setting as well, which seems very cool as well.
Yeah, so we could just say run this every 5 minutes, and then we could do exactly the same sort of thing. So this is still using Data Activator behind the scenes because it's popped to me for Data Activator. So it's doing exactly the same thing that we were doing before, but just in a slightly different way and probably faster. So I didn't have to build that Power BI report. So in fact, what you've done is you've just taken my demo and shrunk it down into something more useful and usable. So thank you.
We're giving the users multiple options. Do what you will with this information.
Well, it saves having to build that report. This is actually much easier to do. I've learned something new today, and I'm going to take that away. And and thank you.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for walking us through this. Hopefully this has been helpful for all of you watching. And please go and explore on your own and definitely share with us any of your feedback and what else you'd like to see or any other tips and tricks that you all have. So thank you so much for joining us today, Mark.
All right, lovely. Thank you. All right, bye.
Bye.
A huge thanks to Maraki for walking us through what mirroring is and how to get started with it. And a huge thank you to Mark for joining us for our podcast to show us some cool tricks with monitoring.
Before we go, we'd like to continue to encourage all of you to engage with us by sharing feedback or suggesting new topics in the comments below. If you're interested in getting involved, like joining us as a guest, definitely reach out to me or Connie. We have our contact information linked in the description. Don't forget to follow the Data Factory team on social media, like YouTube and LinkedIn, to stay updated on new feature releases and more. See you all next month for the next episode.